Hello and welcome to Be the Wolf. I am actually really excited about this conversation. We're going to go deep into some really important things. And I think if you want to wonder, if you're wondering, if you need to listen to this episode, if you are a person who has desires, has things that you want in your life, but you maybe have been a little afraid to go for them, or you've been living in the land of the shoulds, doing all the things that you're supposed to, making your life look pretty on paper, but it's not feeling the way you want to feel inside. You're not feeling vibrant. You're not feeling vital. You're not getting the things that you want. And every time you fucking get something you want, it lands flat. If that sounds anything like you, you're going to want to stay tuned for this episode. I am here today with Eva Angeloff, and she is the founder of Women's Lib. It is a brand that's centered on desire, vitality, women's sexuality, and well being. And we're going to dive into the story of how she started that brand and why it's passionate for her. And also, we're going to dig into what it really takes and what you have to overcome within yourself when you're running a passion business.
Woo!
All right, Eva, is there anything else that you would like to say about what you do before we dive into the story?
My gosh. I just wanna highlight that I am a person who has children, and I think I went a little bit into a hormonal fugue state when I had my 3 children back to back. So, some of it was slightly, I don't wanna say unconscious, but it was just like, "Yes, let's go, let's do this," and I was on this schedule. Fast forward a little while, they're in preschool, and I was living that Instagram mom life, and what brings this to mind is that notion of, like, you're doing all the things you should, and I was like, "I'm gonna do that two-year-old birthday party and Etsy out all the things," and and then at the end of it, having my kid be like, a few days later, "What did you do for your birthday?" from a grandparent. They're like, "I don't know." And it's, "What is," and in that moment, I feel like I'm not doing these things for myself. So it's this idea that the things that you should, that you feel like you should, and for me, it was also about competition. Oh, other parents, are you kidding?
Yeah.
There's nothing more juicy than judging other parents. This is why moms show up to preschool drop off looking how they look. And at the beginning, I pretended I didn't care. I tried not to care, but I got swept up in it. And it was like, I'm going to have a matching sweatsuit outfit now to go to the preschool drop off. So I'm not trying too hard, but I'm definitely looking like I'm someone who belongs here.
Tell me what in that period of time, like, there was a point when it changed, right? When you got the matching sweatsuit, what was happening internally, emotionally before you started
Yeah.
trying, but not trying too hard?
Before all of that, it's observing, it's seeing the women who are coming and going. And again, I'm paying attention specifically to women. I have a deep love and affinity for women. So I watch what they do, I watch how they interact. I wanna be with them, I wanna be part of their club, I wanna be part of I wanna be part of that world that's being built where I'm identified as a good mother, a person who has it to get put together, a mom who cares about her kids, but just enough and not too much because I can go away for a weekend with my husband, or I work, so I'm important in my job, but I'm also a mother. It's like you're navigating all of these things. Plus, I should also say, my own mother, the person who brought me up, who was a stay-at-home mom, she was my part-time nanny during that period. So, for anyone who also has family coming into the picture, then there's that, what does she think about me as a mother? What does she see in me? What judgment? For me, it was a lot of judgment. And I don't know if she'd ever watched this. She'd probably say, "No, I wasn't. I'm so proud of you." but I felt like I wanted to impress her. It really was about, will they like me? Will they want to get to know me better? What do they think about me? So it's a lot of insecurity. And I think that very easily comes from the fact that as a parent, you think you might try to know what you're doing, you read, you watch the documentaries, but at the end of the day, you don't know what you're doing. I didn't know what I was doing.
So, what I'm hearing is there was this observing, and it's, oh, these people are what a mother should be, a good mother should be. So, let me chameleon myself into being that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. And I think what's funny, one of the things I talk about that needs to be like healed and cleared in our nervous system is generational. It's not just what we've experienced. And historically, when we're talking about before the Industrial Revolution and before modern technology and all of that, you needed the whole tribe together to survive. Now I could be like, fuck everybody. I'm going to have zero friends. I'm going to just live and do my work and not see anybody. I could literally be a shut in and survive. There's somebody who will deliver things. So I don't have to worry, in theory, about being ostracized for my survival. And so much of that has been passed down. And I think, especially for women, because women relied so much financially and historically for safety for men, that there's this thing that's, fuck, I have to make sure everybody likes me so that I will be safe. And just a really side note, men have it too. It's a different kind of thing, a little bit different, but I think men feel that need to provide so that they can be safe emotionally, because
Yes.
it's like their mate creates that emotional safety that they're not providing for themselves the way women were not providing for their financial safety or their physical safety when we were like hunters and gatherers and such.
Yeah.
So I think it's a very natural, normal thing. When did this start to break out for you?
When my kids really let me know that they didn't care.
Oh.
So I really view my children as the best reflective mirror. My partner, my husband, is also a great reflective mirror to me in other ways, but my children, I look to as my reflective mirror of where I need to expand or evolve. And it's through them. I'm using them in that as a tool in that way, but they didn't care. They didn't care if my sweatsuit matched. They didn't care if I was put together. They really wanted me to stop yelling, rushing them out of the door to be on time to
Yeah,
the school drop off. These are the things it's like they were telling me, "Mom, it's preschool. We can be 15 minutes late. We just need less yelling, less finding of the shoes. Like, I
mm,
have 1 pair of shoes, mom. We just get the shoes. We can even leave them in the car. It doesn't matter. The car's a mess. Mom, we don't actually care." But I was trying so hard to have this standard that I think you're right, was a bit generational. I was raised within those standards.
yeah.
So I wanted there was part of that was felt important to me. I wanna pass down I don't want chaos. I want an organized household and people to be on time for things, and that efficiency was important to me. It still is important to me. It's part of who I am. I think it's part of what's made me successful in my life. But when my children started to repeatedly show me and tell me with words as they got older, "We love that you make food for us. We love that when you are kind with us. We love when you are gentle and soft with us." I started to have to take that in. There was no more blocking of that. So I had to say, okay, maybe I'm grasping for control, but all of this time I should have been aiming towards surrender.
So one thing that I find really interesting about that is that there's this safety programming that's, oh, I have to do it right and be perfect and blah, 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 and generational, probably, and some of your own life experience too, I'm sure. But then there was something that began to trump it. and it was your love and care for your children that began to shift. Oh, maybe, and I'm just going to make an assumption here. You tell me if this is right or wrong. Oh, I'm actually safe. I'm okay if I have the love of my husband and my children, then everybody else doesn't matter.
What do you mean? Everything's going great. We are on time to stuff. The kids are happy and healthy, very well adjusted. What do you mean? I love you. I'm attracted to you. There's no problems here. But slowly and silently, I didn't mean to, but I had closed this door on this part of my life.
Mhm.
And I think that surrender is I think surrendering is so hard for women because it is so scary. And you might be feeling that tension of, will they like me? Am I safe? What will happen? I don't know what will happen. It's that fear of the unknown that really creeps in. For me, just speaking for myself.
Right.
And when he said that, that unlocked that next door of self-discovery. I had to figure out, I want to make him, first of all, I was defiant. Let me just say that. I was like, absolutely not. This is obviously your problem, not my problem. I'm great. I'm doing fine. Don't look over here.
Tell me
But
real quick there, because that's a place when, especially in relationship, when someone's, "Hey, there's this thing that's going on." I have a friend that who's going through this, right? She just asked this person, was like, "Hey, do you think you would ever maybe wanna work on this?" "Sure, okay. I'll do it for you." But let's just, you can't do it for me. But this just complete not aware that there's anything happening. So for you, how did it sink in? Like when you first felt it and you were defiant, and then tell me about the journey of it actually sinking in and you being able to recognize it.
he got more and more vocal. And my husband's good with words. So his words were all pretty kind, but then at some points it would be like, "Hey, I really need this. I see you." He said, "I'm starting to feel jealous of the kid getting cuddles. I feel like, why do they deserve the cuddles more than me? I want to be included." And it even started to seep into the dinner table where I would make a chicken dinner or something and I would serve all the children. And then I'd be like, "You can have whatever's left here." You're an adult. You can make your own food. You can figure this out. And it was very much like I felt so responsible and I felt like I was holding together all of these things that my disassociation was because you're a grown up and I respect you. And so you see how I'm handling all my stuff. Can you just be over there also handling all of your stuff and your needs? And again, that's generational. I grew up in a family where my needs were, it was like, you don't have any. You
Yeah.
just don't have any needs. And if you do, you should keep that to yourself and figure it out. And the beautiful thing that gave me is resilience and independence, but taken to a fault, it's very, when you talk about I can go and be a hermit, 100%.
Yep.
So when he first said that to me, I'm like, "It's you, not me. You need to figure that. You sound like you have some needs and you should probably handle that. And if that's hard for you, then I can also go and live in the car. I don't have any problem with that." And it came to a head a couple of times where it became an argument where I was so defiant. And it just broke me down. If you wanted the pathway, it just broke me down. And it became, again, the kids saying to me, "We would love for you to regulate your nervous system, mom." Came also from him, "Hey, I would love to be able for us to access pleasure together again because it's important to me." And if you're telling me that having the countertops clean is important to you, I'm telling you to hold my hand is important to me. And
Mm.
yeah, right? Like things, just little statements like that started to really seep in. So I tried supplementation. I went to a therapist who, I love both of those things. They both really helped once I found the supplement that works. But I ultimately really, what I unpacked and what I want to share with every woman is that you, woman, are worth the curiosity because the pleasure on the other side is so valuable to your lifespan.
Yeah.
That's the part where the connection, like once I started, because once I, it was like jumping a hurdle. You're running the hurdles way down the track. and I'm running and running and I see it and I know I'm going to have to jump it and I'm dreading it, but I jump. It's like a quick jump. Once you make that quick jump and you're on the other side, turns out my husband loves our newfound. We had to rediscover what sexuality meant for us in the bedroom.
Let's actually go back a little because I feel like we almost jumped over a part that's really important is speaking about jumping, right?
Yeah.
Jumping hurdles. There's this point when it started to sink in. But what did you discover about yourself, right? You use supplementation, you use therapy, but in that process of unlocking and surrendering, what did you have to come face to face with? Being the wolf is all about reclaiming the parts of you that have been disowned. But what was the part of you that had been disowned by you not wanting to seek pleasure?
Because I dismissed every need that I had. I would lay on my pillow at night and have to literally tell myself in my mind, it's okay to smooth out your pillow so it doesn't scrunch up the fabric on your face. Because
Mm,
normally I would just lay there and let it be scrunched up and say, it's okay, I can handle it.
yeah. And you said earlier, I grew up in a house where my needs and your needs were not allowed, is what I
Yeah,
heard, is what it
that's right.
sounded like.
Now,
And
again, if my mom heard this, she'd be like, oh, what are you talking about? I'm a
right.
stay-at-home mom.
Yeah, my mom, and those who know my story, my mom literally thinks she was the best mom in the world. But the thing is, people are taking care of the needs from the standpoint of what they think they need, not necessarily what you specifically need. And most people's lens of how they're taking care of their need of other people's needs is through the lens of what they need. And most of that lens is through what will keep them safe, accepted, and alive again through the generations. It's not that your mom did right, I'm sure, the way that has been passed down through the generations of what would keep the family safe, alive, and healthy and okay. But we don't live in this environment now where we have to fear for our safety in the way that we once did. And so doing things in those old ways is not it's not good for the soul because we're not constantly at threat. We're not constantly having to be in survival mode. We're at this place where, fuck, in this time of transformation in life, we can actually start to create what we want, but we've been trained to not want what we want.
That's why you gotta be the wolf and be a woman who wants. But I do think it's a hard choice because it requires that effort. One thing I'll say about myself, I'm not a lazy person. I'm extremely stubborn, but I'm not a lazy person. So I wanted to keep my relationship. Now, there are many women who, once estrogen starts to leave, they look at their relationship with different eyes, different lens, and they say, okay, I was in that emotional hormonal place and I think might not belong together anymore. But that's not what happened to me. I, when my partner came to me with this issue, I was defiant, I was stubborn, but the relationship meant more to me than that. So I wanted to work on it. And it was work and it was scary. I'm telling you, I was on the floor of that living room right there for several days in a row, therapeutic sessions, discovering she told me, I think you might have an issue with control. I was like, are you? I almost slapped my whole computer laptop down. How dare you say that to me? And then I laid on the floor, taking deep breaths, and I checked in with myself and I discovered shit. Turns out she might be right. The feedback I'm getting from people who love and know me. And when I really look deep within myself, I see that fear. It's fear that makes me want to control. And in acknowledging that, right, it's really is, I think, to reclaim those parts. There's the journey of like you acknowledging that this is a part of you. It doesn't have to be a negative or a positive, but you have to accept it as part of yourself in order to transform that energy into something productive. Because at the end of the day, will we really continue to do things that don't feel good? You have that gym membership. If you go and you hate it, are you going to go again?
No, not typically. It's one of the things, and I think it's always what pain is worse. And there's a quote I say a lot. It's a Tony Robbins quote. People change when the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the pain of change. And so we can see that losing the relationship would become greater than having to go to therapy and finding some supplements that actually work. Losing your kid's love would be greater and more painful than the moms judging you about your socks that don't match, for instance, maybe.
Yeah. Now
I know
I
as a mom, there are days when it's I don't even know if your underwear's on right side out.
yeah, and you know what? It doesn't go away. I was talking to a social media person and they were asking me about my own personal Instagram, which I frankly hadn't really looked at because I have my own fear of failure in that in my personal realm, never mind in other aspects of my life. But she was saying that, what do you want to get out of your social media presence? And it rubs me. I'm a Gen Xer. I didn't want to play the social media game. Anyway, here I am. And so I said, I can't be anyone other than myself. So I've got to show up as authentic. Sometimes I can come off a little unhinged. I love comedy. I love to be active. These are the kind of, I want to have all of the sides of me represented because that's who I am. But I also want to be better than everyone else. And that should be shown across in social media. So as long as you can easily do everything I do, but make it look better. Okay. So it still is there, that competition, that
Yeah.
fear of judgment. It never really goes away. And now I can just kind of laugh at it and be tongue in cheek about it. But all of that is to say, if you're a person who feels like you're not enough, you are afraid you're going to fail, you're insecure in most of the rooms that you walk into, just know that anybody who's there who's looking like they have it put together, they have either been where you are or they are right then and they're just faking it till they make it.
Yeah. And there's a thing that happens over time, and I think this is really important when it comes to this age with AI and whatnot, is the faking it till you make it isn't going to work the way that it used to because people are getting so wise to being able to feel the frequency of authenticity, to be able to feel the frequency of truth. And when we are disowning parts of ourselves, I'm not going to be the woman who wants. I'm going to take care of everything for myself and you fucking take care of your shit for yourself. And I'm not going to be that. But if you're on here talking about the product that you make and that you sell that's about reigniting the woman who wants, it would land flat
Yep.
because it's not part of your truth. And so, one of the things that I think is so important when we're talking about authenticity is the more of you that you reclaim, the more authentic you become. Because there isn't this I need to look better than everybody else because you're just okay with being who you are under, and this is the key, under all circumstances, around all people. Because there is plenty of people, we do this all the time. I'm only going to hang out with people who are of my political affiliation. I'm only going to hang out with people that are in this industry and that because it's safe. Because I can feel comfortable being who I am in that environment. But the moment I am in a deep conversation with somebody who thinks differently than I do, then I get all full of rage and or I shut down is the pattern for most people. And so being authentic and being able to be authentic in the face of anyone and anything is the goal because then you and your brand and who you present as is congruent, it's consistent, and that's what makes people trust you.
And thank goodness because I am not a huge fan of AI. And if being authentic is what's required, that to me feels like I've been waiting my whole life to to be able to be authentic and be accepted for being authentic. And if it's me having to just step into my own new skin, my own new body and embody that sensation of confidence, then I'm so ready for it. And that's what's on the other side, right? That's what's on the other side of that unnecessary need to control and insecurity and fear. What's on the other side of it is so enticing.
Yeah. And you've gotten a taste of that. So tell us right now, I think is a great time to tell us about your product and tell us about how it relates to the aspects of you that you reclaimed through this process of reconnecting with your husband in a more intimate way.
Yeah. So what's cool about women's lib is that it's a little bit like a secret ingredient, even though it's not secret, it's on the bottle. But Tonkat Ali an ingredient that's marketed to men. So what? Let me back up. The product was made because the other ones that are on the market that are libido related are often about a woman's nervous system and often about lowering stress and cortisol. So there'll be ingredients like L-theanine and things for relaxation, ashwagandha and things like that that are relaxing. But that was not my issue. My issue was I'm already tired. I need energy. So at 8 o'clock at night, the kids are put down. He wants to touch toes. And I'm like, honey, absolutely not. So I needed that energy boost. And that, if you know anything about how the female body hormones work, many women don't know they have testosterone in their body. It's at a much
Mhm.
lower rate, but we have testosterone. As we age, it just slowly kind of descends. So that's where you feel that sort of loss of energy and loss of drive. And so many of my friends, they rub testosterone cream or some do pellets and things like that. I'm not giving advice on any of those things. But what I did discover is that having an ingredient encapsulated in a tincture that brings energy and desire, meaning the drive and the ability for arousal, and that's mainly through epimedium. Epimedium is horny goat wheat. That's a Chinese herb, and that's a vasodilator. So that's really the about engorgement and lubrication phase. So you have the energy from your testosterone. So basically, Tonkat Ali blocks GHBC, the sex binding hormone globulin, that whatever the letters are, the acronym. Tonkat Ali unlocks the testosterone. It blocks SBGH so that you can use your testosterone. That's why it's marketed to men. And there's a lot of great research out there. Why? Because it's a men's product. So they've got more research, human trials, and men are marketed this ingredient as a muscle recovery. They take it after workouts at a much higher rate than what we have in our bottle. But energy, vasodilation, so you can become engorged and have natural lubrication. And shatavari is the herb of the woman with 1,000 husbands. So this is the Ayurvedic herb for women that will it's an estrogen mimetic, which means it's a plant-based estradiol. So for women who are on HRT, this is a great bolster supplement. For anyone who's almost getting ready to be on HRT, this is a nice bridge to get you there. It's just a well-rounded hormone balancer, and I know there's a lot of things out on the internet that say they're hormone balancing. Obviously, women have to be their own advocates, do their own research, and there's a lot of pressure on women to know their bodies all of a sudden in their 40s.
Then what it's done for you specifically.
Within a couple days, you feel a humming and a buzzing. And that's just a really pleasurable feeling. That does shift with time. So I've been on Women's Lib for about a year and a few months, year and 2 months. And now I just ride a very calm sort of energy. I feel energized. Have no problem having orgasm. I have no problem being in the mood. Now you have to couple this, right? This is just a libido tincture. This is a supplement. This is not a communication style. This is not water. Do you have a babysitter you trust? You still have to have those other parts of your life. So I still say no to my husband. Of course I do. If I'm not in the mood. But what it did do is it unlocked this ability for me to say, "Hey honey, I hear that you want to have sex with me and I'm also interested too, but you know how I would like to have sex is a little bit different now from what I used to like because what I like to do now is just lay there. So is that possible for me to just lay there and would like to enjoy the smorgasbord of my body?" And it turns out, yeah. And so all of this comes full circle. What happened was I was able to accept that I reclaimed my needs, claimed that I'm a person who has needs. I reclaimed my body. My body let me have access to be able to find the words to say to my husband what I need. and without being embarrassed. Oh my gosh, is he gonna think I'm a lazy lover? Is he gonna
Right.
think I'm just not giving at all?
And here's the thing that's so cool. And this happens every time somebody reclaims a part of them. You were looking to reclaim your sexuality, your libido, like that aspect of you, your desire. But in that, you reclaimed being the woman who wants. And that's a part that you never even had experience of. So you had to pull that from the ether and bring it into you. And in that process, it has opened up communication. It has opened up all kinds of things in your life, I'm sure, beyond just being able to have great sex with your husband.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And what's interesting, so when we build these businesses that come from our own story, our own life, and they mean something to us because they helped us along on our journey, there's a piece of the business that becomes a reflector, becomes a reflection of who we are. And I know for me and my Be the Wolf story, it's all the trauma, all the crazy things that I had to do to stay safe was pretty much disappear almost the entirety of who I was until I was a shell of a human. And then the reclaiming of the different aspects of me little by little was the thing that helped, not the therapy, not the ayahuasca ceremonies, like all of those contributed, but it was really me accepting those parts of me that some I didn't even know I had because they were generational. They were like outside of me. And others were parts that I had to reclaim. But one thing I noticed in my life, I always had a passion business, even when I was working for other people. And it was really, I couldn't make my passion businesses work. There was all this stress and anxiety. I was just too afraid to put myself fully out there and really let myself be fully seen. And you shared with me a little earlier about how you had this relationship in the past that was full of anxiety and then you're feeling this same experience in your business.
Yes.
You wanna share a little bit about that with me?
Oh, it gives me goosebumps because it's so current, it's right now.
Yeah.
And I'm a startup entrepreneur. This is my first time. I, like you, have had passion projects. I'm a dancer. I ran dance companies, and so I again, like you, I wanted to be the backup dancer. I never really, because I was so afraid of being too much, and I think I was really afraid of failing. So I was like, I'll just do what I know I can do really well. So I have a social media page for myself, and I just hadn't looked at it. It was a little bit ostriching, head in the sand. If I look at it, I'm gonna have to do something about it. And when I did look at it, I was so embarrassed by what I saw because it wasn't who I've become. And who I have become as someone who is unafraid of sharing all of me, but that's recent. And when I look back, it's like I almost feel shame. I just feel that way. Like, why did I hide myself all that time? And it's how I felt in my relationship, my past relationship that was this very impactful relationship in my life. But the feeling of that relationship and why I had to leave the country to leave it, it was toxic, but not in an abusive way. It was that I was needy. I because I had this need and
Mhm.
was completely ignored, completely dismissed, and it furthered that notion of your needs don't matter, your wants don't matter. I'll like you if I like you, if the feeling is right. But I was in love. I wanted that partner's love so much. I wanted that stability and security. And so now it's being reflected back in my business.
That's good.
But I feel it when I looked at my Instagram and I thought, wow, this is just not who I am anymore. I don't need to be afraid anymore. But when I look at it, there's a lot of shame there.
What's really interesting here is that back then, and this happens so often when we get into certain relationships, it activates this thing that is dormant inside of us. Maybe we've been, I don't know about you, but I used to be super hyper independent, take care of everything. I take care of myself, you take care of yourself, everything's going to be fine. Right. And so I know for me, I would get into certain relationships, and there was this moment, this click where something clicked, and all of a sudden, that part of me who wants would be like desperate and needy and right there. And of course that's smothering in relationship. It's gonna sabotage everything because the part that wants and the part that needs has been so repressed.
Yes.
And so it sounds like you had a very similar experience, but ironically, this business is about reclaiming that part of you who wants.
Yes.
And in that, there's opportunity as you come into challenges with your business. It's probably something that will come up over and over because it's an unfolding, and the part of you who wants has lots of layers. And so I'm going to take a guess and that as you keep facing these things, facing the social media, all of that, that you will uncover and reclaim more and more of the part of you who wants.
I hope so.
Yeah. I mean, just look at how much it is already given to you in your life and how amazing it is that you have this business that is built on reclaiming the part of you who wants.
Yeah, it's like laughter begets more laughter, and orgasms beget more orgasms, and maybe reclaiming begets more reclaiming.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it goes back to that idea of, do we do the things that feel good? And I hope it's true that we do, that if we feel the benefit of lifting heavy weights and we know we're doing it for our health, then we can know that when we reclaim parts of ourselves, even though it's hard and it's hard work, that it's for our health, it's for our mental health, it's for our stability and our vitality.
Yeah. And you think about the idea, what you talked about being on social media and wanting to be all of you on social media, and you can see the hiding that had been happening. And historically, the hiding is what felt safe. It felt good. But I know you want a life that's bigger and bolder. And you said earlier, in some ways, it's harder to claim that life, but it's really hard to live a life that's flat.
That's true. I think what I mean is it's hard to be on social media. That's
Well,
what's hard. It's hard feeling like I'm marketing myself as a human. That's the part where I had couched my own hesitancy under, I don't want to be the face of the brand. My brand is about all women. My brand is not about me. I'm just one person. It's for all women to explore and discover. And I'm happy I can talk about the product, as you have heard, like all day long. I can talk about the science. I can talk about why and what it does. But when it comes to my own self, there is still that hurdle of, if I put myself out there, it feels like another job to keep up on the social media, to
yeah.
maintain the social media, to, you know,
Well, and you know that horrible saying, "Oh, if you love what you don't work another day in your life." But consider that expressing who you are is the essence of the brand because it is built out of your story. And in that, the more you can express this story of reclaiming the part of you who wants in every aspect of your life, that's going to be the thing that makes me want to be like, do I need this product?
everybody needs this product.
And so there's this place where when feels fully safe in your body to be the woman who wants,
Yeah.
you won't be afraid of being the face brand. You won't be afraid of jumping on social media on a whim. Oh, I'm just walking. I had this thought, so I'm going to do a live. And so I suspect there's more that's coming for you as far as unfolding and unleashing the woman who wants. And I'm
Yes.
really excited to witness that journey.
Yeah, we really dove deep here. You're when you see it starting to unfold and blossom, you'll be able to really understand where it came from.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. There are so many products out there and there's so much shit ingredients and all of that. It's like, how do you get people to trust you?
Yeah.
Get people to trust you by being authentic, because then your frequency is congruent. How you show up, what you do is inconsistency or really controlled consistency. Having authentic, easy flowing consistency and showing up exactly as you are and knowing that it's not going to be some bullshit story that's okay, I'm just going to say this because this is what my brand is supposed to say. That's also the thing that makes people loyal. You look at Apple, and people didn't become fanatics about Apple because of they had the best computers. They became fanatics about Apple because of the brand and the story, because it was going
Guys in
against
there
this,
were up.
yeah, but it was also going against the status quo.
Right.
That was the original thing. There's a reason why Mac is all the creative people and not the business people historically, is because that was like the people who identified with that theme of going against the status quo.
Yeah.
And so for you, I think anybody who really can identify with reclaiming the part of you who wants is really going to resonate with what you're doing and give your product a try.
I hope so. It again, it might unlock something biologically, but you still have to be open to reclaiming psychologically.
Absolutely. Absolutely. How can people find you?
Women's-lib.com or Women's Lib Co. on Instagram.
Easy peasy. All right. My
Easy.
final question for
Yes.
you: what does it mean to be the wolf?
For me, it means to be the wolf, being wild, being unsatiated, and really truly connected to your inner wisdom. Because I think the inner wolf is that unsatiable hunger for family connection, but you have to, it's that wild connection to self.
Beautiful.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Thank you. I'm so grateful for this conversation. And yeah, everybody, what's your website again?
Lib.com. Find me
And
there.
and the Instagram?
And Instagram is Women's Lib Co.
Okay, beautiful. All right, everybody. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching, and we will see you all next time on Be the Wolf. Bye.
Bye bye.